Hi everyone, welcome to Life in Lockdown. It's my honour today to welcome Toni Shiloh. For those of you who don't know her, Toni writes contemporary romances. And today is the release day of her newest book called The Trouble with Love. Welcome, Toni.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's my pleasure. So first of all, to start off, because this series was how it all started, kind of when the whole world went into lockdown with COVID-19. Can you tell us a little bit about where you are, kind of what the restrictions are like where you live, and kind of the big differences for your life now and your family's life now versus, kind of what life was like back at the beginning of the year?
Okay, sure. So I live in Northern Virginia. We're about 30 miles outside of the nation's capital, outside of DC. So our restrictions are a little bit different than the rest of the state because we're so close to DC. We're also close to Maryland. So we're still in lockdown, stay-at-home orders while the rest of the state has slowly opened up. We're allowed to go out to, get food, go to essential appointments like medical appointments. Of course, essential workers can still go to work. We've been like this since about March 12th. So my boys are all home with me. My husband's at home working from home as well. So I went from being alone during the day to everyone with me in the house now. When I do go out, I wear a mask. I just went to the grocery store earlier and wore a mask. And so was everyone else there. Everything's sanitized at the grocery stores. The kids are doing online schooling. I thought, since my boys are like me, they're a little introverted, I thought they would enjoy staying home and doing online schooling, but no, they still don't like school. So they're counting down the days to when it's over. Their school doesn't end until June 10th. So they're still doing school.
So they've still got a couple of weeks to go.
Yeah, they do. Still doing assignments, turning it in, doing tests, all of that. But it's easy in a way because since I work at home, since I'm writing, I can help them if they have questions. But that does make it a little difficult to write when I'm getting stopped because usually I get in that zone. I have headphones on listening to music and I'm just kind of in my world. So I have to like pull myself out repeatedly nowadays to help them.
And because some states finish school in May, is that right? Does it vary from
Yeah.
state to state?
It does. And in Virginia, they used to actually start after Labor Day in September. But we had a lot of years where we had a lot of snow. So they started school in a little bit earlier in August so that we wouldn't have to, push back any further in June because of snow days. So now they get out like mid-June for the last couple of years and started late August.
Yeah. And so you mentioned that being so close to Washington, D.C., you're on kind of a stricter lockdown than other parts of the state. So is Washington, D.C. on still a reasonably strict lockdown as well?
I think so. It's DC and then it's a portion of Maryland because we're all considered the metro area of
Right.
DC. Because you can travel within a county so easily. There's like 3 counties that make up Northern Virginia, and then I think maybe 2 counties in Maryland, and then of course there's DC,
Mm.
and you can see people traveling anytime in between those. It's funny because when the hardcore lockdown started, I had to go to the doctor in DC and there was like no traffic. And that's like unheard of out here because it'll take 2 hours to get, go 30 miles because of traffic is so bad.
Mm.
And there was no traffic. And I was like, I don't know how to act. I got there super early.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, because we've had to, in a sense, reteach my eldest son how to safely cycle again because for us during 7 weeks of lockdown there was no traffic at all as well, and so he just got so used to just being able to ride his bike on the road and he'd ride in the middle of the road and he wouldn't really pay any attention. And then suddenly when we started kind of coming out a little bit, suddenly there are buses and cars back and we're like, you can't do that anymore. You will get
Right.
hit. It was kind of like for this 7-week period, kind of the world went quite quiet. Everyone was at
Yes.
home. People, walked a lot. That like you say, like it was similar for us. You could only really drive to go to get groceries or to medical appointments, or that was really it actually. And so there just weren't cars around anymore. So in the middle of all of this, with your kids home from school, you have been frantically writing, obviously. Do you want to
Yes.
tell us a little bit about The Trouble with Love that is releasing today, and also the series that you've got coming out over the next few months?
Yes, so it's the Faith and Fortune series. Yeah, I've had a lot of fun writing it. It's a little bit different than my usual style because I decided to write in first person, and I decided to only stick with a heroine's point of view. So at first I was nervous, wondering would I be able to meet my word goal just sticking to one person, because usually I do both the hero and the heroine. But the heroines, they're so awesome. They talked to me, they told me what they wanted to say, and like my fingers just kind of flew. And I made myself laugh, so hopefully I'll make others laugh when they read it. But I decided to just write nonstop first draft, and then I went back through the critiques my critique partners sent me, and then I fixed everything, and then I immediately sent them to beta readers. And while the beta readers were reading it, I immediately jumped into the second book in the series, did it all over again, and then jumped into the third book in the series. So now the third book is with my editor, and this one released today. So I'm super excited about it. They're all the heroines are famous, and they're also rich. So it's kind of like, a look in the lives of the rich and famous as they struggle with faith and love. So
Are they all friends? Do they know each other?
yeah, so they all met in boarding school, and so they actually all live in a townhouse in New York City. It's a 5-story, multi-million townhouse. The Holiday Brown is the heroine in The Trouble with Love. She's a pop singer. And then you have her best friend, Tori Bell, who's a supermodel. And then the third girl is Octavia Ritchie, who's a principal ballerina.
Oh, wow. And how did you come up with the occupations?
Um, just brainstorming, actually. I saw the cover art and I really loved them. And so I knew I wanted them to all be rich because of their parents, but I also wanted them to have their own identity as well. So I just kind of looked at, the rich people that we have now, and I picked what I thought would be interesting occupations.
And how did you find writing in first person?
Oh, so I thought I was gonna stink at it. I thought I'd be horrible, but it was so much fun. Like, it's like they literally just talked to me and it just flew out. And I'm like, oh, if only I can write everything in first person now. But I've already switched to writing a third person book, but I'm already thinking ahead, wondering when I can go back and write first person again. It was a lot of fun.
So you are one of those amazing people, which is not me, who can be writing one book while editing another book, while releasing another book, while starting to write another book.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just in amazement about that, because I can kind of do two. Like I can kind of be first drafting one and on more detailed edits of another, but that's where my skills begin and end. I had with two of my books all made up, and one thing I know, they were on a really similar time frame, because I was releasing one of them independently and then the other one was coming out with my publisher 5 months later. And because of the traditional publishing lead-in times, they both ended up on exactly the same path in terms of all of their stages. And I just found that impossible. I just couldn't jump out of one and into another really well. So I'm just in awe of people like you. So talk to us a little bit about what it's been like getting ready to release a book during a global pandemic. How's that gone for you? Um, have you found it kind of easier or harder than previous books? Yeah, talk to us a little bit about that.
Um, I think it's like a mixture. Some parts of it feels more difficult because I wonder if anyone's really paying attention because of the pandemic. I feel like a lot of people have so much going on in their lives that that's what's taking their focus. But at the same time, I keep hearing stories how a lot of people are reading more because they have the time. So I'm hoping that works in my favor and people will take the chance and pick it up. Myself, I'm reading a lot more, and I'm going for the lighthearted books, and so I'm hoping that that helps here. I think the change and point of view might give me a little ding, but I'm hoping that my loyal readers will still take a chance and pick it up.
I mean, the thing that I find is that, because I read probably similarly to you, mostly a lot of third person romances. And then I don't tend to, if first person is done really well, then I won't notice that it switched. Like I was reading a book probably a little while ago now, and it was so well written that it was Before I Called You Mine by Nicole Deese. And I was like a third into the book before I realized it was in first person. I was like, oh my gosh, because she usually writes in third person. I'd never read something by her in first person. And I was about a third in where I was like, holy moly, this is first person. But then I think sometimes the first person is a little bit, I don't know, clunky maybe. That's when I tend to notice and be like, I'm not really sure how I feel about this. But I mean, you're a multi-published author. What book is this for you? You've got a number under your belt, haven't you?
I think this is number 15.
Yeah. There we go. You know, you've written a lot of books when you've lost track of how many there are. So I'm really looking forward to it. And can you tell us a little bit about your plans for kind of after the series, because the series is releasing May, July, August. Is that right?
Yes.
And so then what's up next after
that? Christmas. I'm writing a Christmas novella, and then once I finish that one, I'll write a second Christmas novella because I'm releasing two this fall for Christmas. So I'm also thinking ahead after Christmas, like what will I write? I want to do another small town romance series. I haven't figured out yet what it'll be about, but my brain is already thinking about it. But yeah, I'm definitely in Christmas mode right now, listening to Christmas music and writing.
Do you always listen to music while you write?
I do. So that's actually one of my tricks. You were saying you didn't know how to keep them straight when you're writing one, editing another. I have playlists for all of my books. So it like triggers something in my brain and I'm able to like dive into that character in that book. So I'll listen to their playlist while I'm writing or editing.
When do you do the playlist? Before you start writing?
I do. Sometimes I'll stop because I feel like a certain scene calls for a song and I'll go and search for one and then I'll add it and listen to that where I'm writing the scene and then it's in the playlist.
Wow. That is awesome. I've never been a person who's written while listening to music, except for, like you said, there've been a couple of really specific times when I felt like there were specific songs that went with specific scenes. And so I listened to the song on repeat while I wrote particular scenes. But yeah, that's really cool. I should maybe think about trying that one day.
Yeah, so, it's fun.
Last two questions that I ask all of my guests. What is keeping you sane right now, and what do you miss the most right now?
All right. So keeping me sane is probably reading. I've done a lot more reading just to it's the only way I can block out noise right now is to read a book. So that helps me because sometimes I need those quiet moments. And when I'm in a book, the world kind of fades away and I'm in someone else's problems. So that's keeping me sane. And what was the second one again?
What do you miss the most?
Oh man, that's tough. I going out and seeing my friends is probably what I miss the most. We still do Zoom meetings, but it's not the same as being in person.
No. No, it's not at all. I was in the office in my job for the first time in 2 months last week, and seeing everyone again in person instead of on a Zoom screen was so nice. It was just really nice to have a little bit of face-to-face human interaction again after
Right.
all being at home for an extended period of time. Thank you so much for joining me today. So everyone, I'm going to be giving away 3 Kindle copies of The Trouble with Love. And all you need to do to enter is to answer Toni's question, which is...
Do you like country music or gospel music?
Oh, there we go. Great question. Do you prefer country music or gospel music? So put your answer in the comments and I will draw 3 winners at the end of the weekend. Thank you so much, Toni. It was so lovely talking to you.
It was. Thank you so much.
Yeah.